not just surviving. My apologies for getting on so late. I unfortunately had to figure out something at work that was quite pressing, and so I am starting the live way later, which means I'm gonna have to, unfortunately, cut the live a little bit shorter today. So that's gonna be a little bit frustrating, but nevertheless, I appreciate every single one of you, even if you don't like me, okay? I'm not here to, somehow make people unhappy. I'm trying to inform and educate and get the information out there regarding everything that's happening. So, good morning, everyone. If I seem a little bit shaken up, I apologize. I just had to tackle something, and it was right at the time I was about to go live, and I was like, crap. But, we're here, and it will be okay. I need to just not overreact and be frustrated and, just take a breather, take a sip of water, just calm down, just gotta take it in strides. So I had to, unfortunately, divert my attention away for a minute from what I wanted to do to end up fixing something. So I appreciate every single one of you. You all are amazing. Let's get right into today's news. And unfortunately, the live is going to be a little bit shorter, but I still wanted to make sure and make it because I prepared a whole show this morning. So here we go. Let me take a sip of water and then we'll get started. And yes, I am drinking water out of a coffee mug because I'm crazy. Good morning, Kentegan. Hello, Kenteguin or Anikicha. It's nice to see little friendly faces in here. Y'all are incredible. So let's officially get started. All right. So as Donald Trump and our country has issued strikes, basically bombed Iran, and now Iran is bombing us back after we were goaded into this whole geopolitical conflict in the first place, there are lots of calls for Barron Trump to be enlisted and sent into fighting the war. It's not really a declared war by Congress, but the war happening over in the Middle East. And I think that the reason why SendBarron has become this big thing online. Have you all seen it? If you have, then say so in the chat. If you've seen the SendBarron stuff, then great. If you haven't, I'm going to tell you about it. So SendBarron, this is a whole initiative started by lots of social media users that are pointing out the very obvious double standard, because a lot of rich people's kids and wealthy kids can somehow be avoided, or young people can be, I guess, not sent in the draft. And if these people who want war, then they got to send their kids. So people are pointing out the double standard of, well, okay, if you want war, then you better be willing to sacrifice people in your own family who might get hurt during that process. And, I think that's a very fair assessment. If certain people really want and think that war is going to solve something, then they need to be able to put their families in harm's way or put them on the line. They got to have some skin in the game. And I'm not advocating for violence in any sort of way. I'm just pointing out that if you want war, then you better be willing to do what it takes, even if it means, unfortunately, people in your own family being affected. And that's where I think a lot of people have been jumping on this whole trend of SendBarron. And I'm going to be highlighting all of that here. I know I'm a little bit all over the place. I apologize if I seem shaken up. I love all of you. Have you all heard of the SendBarron whole thing? I'm going to actually launch a poll. Have you heard of the SendBarron trend? Yes. No. And I'm gonna have sorta. It's not really too much of a sorta thing, but let me also just put that. If you're watching this back as a video, then I'm launching a poll. I don't know if it's gonna be visible, but I appreciate every single one of you. Even if you don't like me, someone says you need a reality check. Sweetheart, I would just love a check. Check the box, or you know, I would just love a check, like a physical check that I can cash in at the bank. That would be really nice, you know? My apologies for yawning on live. Oh, I just need to stretch a little bit. So it looks like a good chunk of you have not heard of it. So let me be the one to tell you. And I appreciate all of you in here. So you all know Barron Trump. Barron Trump, of course, the son of Donald and Melania. Barron Trump, you can't really see him because the pole is in the way, or if you're watching this back as a video, maybe the pole is not there. I have no idea. Barron Trump obviously is a very, very tall kid. I believe he's 19 years old. And so above 18, all of that. Barron Trump is the biological son, of course, of both Melania and Donald Trump. And the idea of the whole SendBarron Trump thing, it actually makes a lot of sense. A lot of times people who are in positions of power, whether in Congress or the executive branch, or maybe they're part of the judiciary in some way, a lot of times people who are in positions of power, they can try to weasel their way out of being in uncomfortable situations due to the effect of their actions. So it's like how members of Congress might vote to go to war, but then issue carve-outs or special exceptions for their family. Oh, well, if we're going to have to go to war, then I don't want my family to be affected. I'm going to make sure that we carve out an exemption, medical, made up, anyway, exemption for them to then not be affected by those choices. And right now, of course, Donald Trump said he wasn't going to do any new wars. He said that. I didn't believe him personally. I was like, I really wish that would be the case. But of course, you know, he betrays that real quick because Donald Trump is a prolific, known liar. But he initially said he didn't want to do any wars, and now he's completely flipping his tune, and people are saying, okay, you want war? Send your own son. Send your own son. Because right now we've already had 6 American lives taken by this war. I say in quotation marks because Congress is the only one that actually has the power to declare something a war. But when it quacks and it waddles like a duck, then it is a duck. So if there's boom, boom, pow, and there's casualties, there's firing back and forth, animosity, the inability to come to a resolution, yeah, that's a war. So we might not call it a war on paper, or at least we might not call it that within the official news. But again, if something smells like cheese, pepperoni, something smells like bread, and you're walking past a little store, yeah, it's probably a pizza place, you know? So if it waddles and it quacks, it's a duck. If there's bombs and there's violence, inability to negotiate, and using that violence to, I guess, somehow think that's gonna fix something, that's a war. So our country was goaded by Israel into doing a war in Iran. And so we, along with Israel, bombed Iran first. Preemptive, unprovoked strikes, meaning bombs. We were dropping lots of bombs on them. The idea was, oh, the United States, we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Well, the intelligence on whether they have a nuclear weapon has been mixed at best, because our own Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, had said, Iran is not building any nuclear weapons. They're not. And Trump was like, I don't like the fact that she said that. I just want to bomb them. I'm going to bomb them. Netanyahu said we're going to do it, so we're going to bomb them. So our country decided to hit them first so that they don't hit us first. Yeah, that's a real way to stop violence. Yeah. But continuing onward with all that, then Iran now is firing back and hitting US military bases, leading to casualties. And it's just sad because there's a whole big death toll already in of course, is US citizens, Israeli citizens, Iranian citizens. And the only numbers that I'm able to share is 6 US citizens, 10 Israeli, 6 US citizens who are serving overseas, but then also 10 people in Israel, but 787 minimum people in Iran. And this all is so unnecessary. But that's what the whole SendBarron thing is. These people want us to go to war, then all right, be willing to send your own kids. Be willing to send your own kids. So let me take away the poll here. I hope that kind of clarifies things. As of early March 2026, hashtag SendBarron is trending on X, formerly Twitter, as part of a viral satirical campaign urging 19-year-old Barron Trump to enlist in the military. The movement stems from frustration regarding U.S. involvement in a Middle East conflict, Operation Epic Fury. This also all stems around the fact that Donald Trump doesn't really seem like he cares too much. He doesn't seem like you, oh geez, I got rid of it, hold on. He doesn't seem very, what's the word? He doesn't seem very concerned about the fact that there are people that are going to war. Because this is what he previously had said about all of this. Wait, why is that gone? Why is that gone? Why is that gone? I swear to God. Hold on a second. Bear with me as I figure it out. This is what Trump had said recently regarding the war. He said, "Of course, we pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to all the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more before it ends. That's just the way it is." So Donald Trump is saying that's likely just going to be the way that it is. The fact that we have to go into war, that's just the way it is. So he said, but we will do everything possible where that won't be the case. You know, that would be then just not going to war. So the fact that Donald Trump literally said, and sadly, there will be more before it ends. That's just the way it is. It really reminds me of Lord Farquaad. Some of you may die, but that is the sacrifice that I am willing to make. It's like this. Some of your kids will die, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. That's the way it is. Okay, then you better be willing to send your own flesh and blood. Just being real. If you are somehow willing to make sacrifices, or if you're asking other people to make sacrifices, then you got to be able to make a sacrifice too, because you're the one that's calling for it. And this highlights the fact that there are people in positions of power that are very disassociated from the impacts of those decisions. And if you are going to make a decision that affects other people, you better be ready. I think that you should be able to also face, if there are negative consequences, you should also face those negative consequences. It's the same way with pollution. If there are rich people who profit off of industries that heavily pollute, they better be willing to live in those polluted areas. Now, of course, they're going to find ways to not, because their wealth that they've been able to generate off of not being in that polluted area, they can somehow buy their way out of it. But that gets to the whole point of SendBarron. Oh, if you want war, then you better be willing to send your own. If you want to externalize consequences, if you are willing to put people in harm's way because of degrading environmental conditions, then you better be willing to accept some of that crap. Literally. And I think that's very, very fair. I think that it's fair. If you are a person in Congress and you vote to take away someone's healthcare, then you better be ready for someone to want to take away healthcare from you. You better be okay with your healthcare being taken away. Like, that's also the thing. This gets to a problem as old as time, that leaders in positions of power often are very disconnected and disassociated from the populations in which they pretend to serve, or they are supposed to serve. And this needs to be fully called out. We need to have a shift in our thinking to actually elect people who care. You know, and we always talk about that, but what I mean by that is people who are welcoming They're welcoming and putting themselves on the line equally, you know? So draft MAGA first? Yeah. You know, and in some capacity, if you were a MAGA and you were like, yeah, let's go fight this war, then cool, be willing to send your own. I think that it's silly for us to fight a war like this. I think that it is. So, and to all the people who are attempting to somehow be rude or nasty or mean or whatever, I hope that instead of just rage typing, you actually take what I'm saying and agreeing with it. You know why? Because what I'm saying makes a lot of sense. I'm not your enemy, dude. I'm just calling for all of our leaders in positions of power to then also face the consequences of the decisions that they make. Let's say, for instance, that this was Joe Biden, and Joe Biden decided to initiate conflict in the Middle East. First of all, I would disagree with that, because I'd be like, do we really need to? Do we really need to? I would say, all right, Biden, you better be willing to put your own kids out there to fight war if you're the one that wants to initiate it. I think it's a very fair thing. So, that's what the whole SendBarron Trump thing is about. And as a quick little recap here, I'm going to turn off chats here, or not turn it off, but I'm going to hide away chats here for just a second. All right, so let me take a sip of water here real quick, hold on. Make sure to send some likes. Let me get into all of it. So, have you all fully seen or heard about the whole idea of SendBarron? Oftentimes, when we're talking about things like war and violence in the Middle East, where it's very complicated, oftentimes we want to just hide or bury our head in the sand, like, I don't want to be politically informed, it's such a burden. Well, this actually brought me a little bit more hope and life, in a sense, because people were pointing out a very accurate double standard and hypocrisy. That if Trump wants to wage war on Iran, being goaded by Israel to doing violence, then he better put his literal flesh and blood out there on the line. Otherwise, he, which he is just another person in a position of power that's incredibly disconnected from his own population that he's attempting to serve. I mean, and that's so evident with him building big golden ballrooms and crap while taking away people's food stamps, Medicare or Medicaid benefits and such, but you know what I mean. So the social media has erupted the last 2 days over calls for sending Barron into war. As of early of March 2026, hashtag SendBarron is trending on X, formerly known as Twitter, as part of a viral satirical campaign urging 19-year-old Barron Trump to enlist in the military. The movement stems from frustration regarding U.S. involvement in a Middle East conflict, Operation Epic Fury. And this all stems from the fact that Donald Trump did not really seem like he cared when he initiated this war. Of course, he said, "We pray for the full recovery of the wounded, sending love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will be more before it ends. There will be more casualties. And that's just the way that it is, likely to be more." And a lot of people compared this attitude to Lord Farquaad. Some of you may die, but that is the sacrifice that I am willing to make. And what is this all for? What war? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. And the fact that Donald Trump is willing to put Americans in harm's way to do this war is just silly. So he better be ready to send his own flesh and blood. South Park writer leads calls for Barron Trump to be drafted as president says more American casualties expected in Iran conflict. The president has been accused and is appearing indifferent about the deaths of American service members, prompting questions about whether he would feel differently if his own son was deployed. And the fact that he literally said that, oh, it is just the way that it is, saying that's the way it is. Like, that's, oh my God. Tammy Duckworth, Democratic senator from Illinois, said, that's the way that it is. Says the 5-time draft dodger to our military families who fear their loved one in uniform that could be next. And Tammy Duckworth, I believe, is also a veteran that, I don't remember if she holds a Purple Star, but she was like really high up in military service. But all that being said, social media erupted with calls for sending Barron. Send Barron, send Barron. And I fully agree, honestly. I fully agree. The lives of American heroes may be lost. We may have casualties. This happens in war. That's kind of paraphrased of what Donald Trump said, but going back to his video, it's pretty close to his statement. So they said, send Barron. Trump, the lives of many American heroes may be lost and we may have casualties. That often happens in wars. And then he goes, that's just the way that it is. I showed you the statement. We pray for the full recovery, and sadly, there will likely be many more of the fallen. That's just the way that it is. But we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They've waged war against civilization itself. It's wild how Trump is somehow claiming that Iran is waging war on other people when we, the United States and Israel, attacked Iran first. Now, I'm not a fan of what the country of Iran does to many different people in their country. That's for them to figure out. That's for human rights groups to figure out. I'm going to advocate for the freedom and abolition, the freedom and the release and the words. I am going to fight for people to attain their rights, to live how they want to live. Iran also is kind of an oppressive regime. That being said, we don't need to initiate fighting with them if they don't pose a threat to us. And now Trump is like, oh, they have nuclear weapons. Your intelligence is saying that they're not building them. We'll get to that later because Tulsi Gabbard, his own director of national intelligence, said, doesn't look like they're building nuclear weapons. And leader after leader after leader just ignored her. Iranian officials are like, yeah, we're not building nuclear weapons. So, and all of this being said, it's just silly because now we're just interlocked in a war and we're like, oh, we have to fight back to show strength. We were the ones that tossed the first blow. That's like walking up to a bully and then saying, I had to punch you in the face so that you didn't punch me first. Well, guess what? As soon as you punch that bully in the face, they're then going to punch you back. Which is why we have seen around at least 15 of our U.S. military bases in other countries have been bombed, leading to casualties. So that all connects back to send Barron. Send Barron. You say, oh, casualties, it's a sacrifice. That's the way that it is. Okay, be willing to literally put your own loved ones on the line. If you think that war is the answer, then you better be willing to send your own. Trump families should show patriotism and send Barron Trump to help fight in the war. Trump announces more Americans will have to die for Israel. Hassan, that's crazy. Send Barron. Send Lindsey Graham. How about that? Send Barron Trump. And of course, there's Kyle Kalinske. Send Barron. Also, Barron is really, really tall. He's like 6'5" or something like that, or 6'9". So you obviously had people that were pointing all of that out. And Jesse Ventura also made a really, really good point. Former governor of Minnesota, and Jesse Ventura said, I'm sick and tired of the Vietnam stuff. That's what former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura said while proposing a law that would require any member of Congress who votes for war to send a family member into immediate military service. And he has a point. And this is disassociated from Donald Trump. But if you have a member of Congress that votes for war, then you better be willing to put your own skin in the game. Because I'm tired of living in a country where our leaders are very disassociated from the negative impacts of their decisions. I'm tired of corporations being able to pollute other low-income areas, but then they get to live in the cleanest, safest places and profit off of other people's pain. I'm tired of this American idea that you can grow rich by making the lives of other people miserable. I'm tired of the fact that billionaires can externalize and can put all of these things that hurt people out there, but then they can buy their way out of the negative impacts of those decisions. I'm tired of disaster capitalism where people can profit off of things that hurt others. I'm tired of big oil companies, big coal companies making lots of profits and money off of polluting low-income areas. I'm tired of certain places being used as sacrifice zones for chemical pollution. You know, you get my gist. I'm tired of warmongers beating the drums of war and then finding ways to do carve-outs for people in their own family. I strive to live in a country where these decisions are made because there is an assessment, but those leaders also have skin in the game. So Jesse Ventura saying, you know, I want there to be a law that if Congress declares war, someone in their immediate family has to go and fight in the war. And not even just in the medical corps, but literally infantry on the line. And then other people said, sign Barron up for the Marines. They should all be on the front lines. If you want war, you must engage in it yourself. Why not make the ones who vote for war enlist? Boom, facts, seriously. You know, and it makes a lot of sense. So I initially was really, really frustrated when this whole thing erupted. I mean, I still am. But seeing people galvanizing to send Barron also really shows me that other people see it too. They see the double standard. That's the big crux in today's live stream, is the fact that we live in a country where leaders in our government often have become so privileged in a position where they don't have to feel the negative effects of their decisions. Big polluters make so much wealth off of polluting other areas that they are able to buy their way into an area that's pristine, has not been touched. War hawks are able to bang the drums of war and then feel disassociated because they create carve-outs and special exceptions for members of their own families so they don't have to then face the negative consequences of being in a war or enlisting in a war. And it gives me hope that people see that too. And also I want to point out some other things. It's hard, son, but have you seen the new White House ballroom? This video actually made me emotional. I think it's an AI video, but still, the fact that this was used really, really just hurt my soul. Because a good chunk of MAGA is like not sure on whether they agree or disagree with this war that's happening in Iran, or whether to even call it that. But there's a good portion of them that are just rationalizing it, saying, oh, well, just focus on this. Have you seen the new White House ballroom? It's worth it. It's worth it. It's like Pam Bondi. The Dow is up. The S&P is up. Americans' retirements are doing great. It's like the question is around the Epstein files. And she immediately pivots. And that's the thing. A good chunk of MAGA is just saying, oh, well, it's amazing and fantastic and incredible. Yet this is the double standard. Why doesn't Donald Trump send his own sons to fight and die for Israel? Trump's kids, Netanyahu's kids, sitting high and dry, enjoying cocktails on the beach in that instance, and your kids fighting in war. You know? Oh, Trump's family, Netanyahu's family, and then your family. Or this. Stop sacrificing America's children to hide your involvement in the Epstein trafficking ring. Yeah. Your son is a hero. He was a good distraction from the Epstein files. So, and this also, I saw this cartoon and I immediately said, this needs to be featured in the show. This American cartoon is from 1953. It would appear that absolutely nothing has changed. You see war being served endless platters of food, money, getting all the attention. Meanwhile, healthcare, sciences, education, arts get scrimp savings. The littlest of little bits. We always seem to have money, and I've talked about this endlessly. If you have been on my live streams on TikTok or here, I've broken down the budgets regarding war. We spend so much money on endless war that if we were to literally take just a tenth of that money, we could use that to really reduce homelessness. We could use that to then reduce child poverty, child hunger. If we were to take some of that money that we spend on endless amounts of war and just put it towards, I don't know, building infrastructure, we could really change this country. We could really improve it. But nevertheless, the big military weapons contractors, they need their money. They need their money for their shareholders. So gotta continue profiting off of endless war, because that's what you gotta do. And with all of that being said, there are a lot of, MAGA is not sure how to feel right now. A lot of MAGA, some of them are standing on principle, good, that they're saying, yeah, I didn't want another war, and it looks like we're getting into another war. Now, unfortunately, that seems like a way smaller portion, and a lot of MAGA are somehow trying to rationalize and justify this as not a war. Like Mark Wayne Mullin, a Republican senator from Oklahoma. He said, that was a misspoke. Republican senator tussles with reporters over whether or not the U.S. is at war. So this was his statement. Mullin took questions from reporters on Capitol Hill and was asked who might next lead Iran. Are there measures being taken not to eliminate other possible alternatives to leadership? Mark Wayne Mullin responds, this is a war, and we're taking out the threat. And if you're part of the threat, then you are a target. What we call not all arrows, but going after the archers. And then Manu Raju was like, so you will concede that this is a war. And then Mullin says, we haven't declared war. They declared war on us, but we haven't. And then the president called it war, and Secretary Hegseth, and then Raju pressed Mullin repeating, we haven't declared it. We haven't declared it. Just now you said this is war. You called it war, another reporter said. They called it war. So Mark Wayne Mullin basically says, this is war and we're taking out the threat. If you're a part of that threat, then you're the target. And then Manu Raju says, so you'll concede this is a war. And then it's like, no, the president called it that. And Secretary Hegseth, it's like, and then he says, just now you said that this is war. No, they called it war. Oh, that was a misspoke. I think that was a misspoke is also a misspoke. That was me misspeaking might be a better way to phrase that, but that was a misspoke. I don't know if that's the technical way to go about it. If I'm incorrect there, then just tell me. He said, okay, well, that was a misspoke. But I was saying that they've declared war on us, but war is ugly. It always has been ugly. So, literally within the span of 20 seconds, max, Mark Wayne Mullin goes from saying that this is a war and we're taking out the threat to then saying, but I was saying that they've declared war on us. So it is a war. And this whole exchange just makes me shake my head. Do you know that meme, that video of the kid that's like going like that? It reminds me of that. Oh my God, someone's saying it's not a democracy, it's a republic. Oh my God, you people, it's both. We live in a democracy and a republic at the same time. How, you people, why are you trying to then somehow, also, it's not like one replaces the other. It's both at the same time. That's not even a part of it's not even a part of the conversation. We are a democracy and a republic at the same time. Sweetheart. He doesn't know what either mean. Yeah, Alaska, he really doesn't. Wait, hold on. Alaska Thundertuck, are we the drag queen Alaska? Are we the drag queen Alaska? If we are, I love you. You're awesome. If you're just a fan account of some kind, then cool. I love having you in here. But yeah, we are a democracy and a republic at the same time, but that has nothing to do with it. We are embodying her beauty, but I'm not actually her. Today, why don't we just pretend that you are? Just kidding. I love that though. I love that though. Hi. That's one of her famous taglines. That's just a joke for everyone in the room. And so it's just funny because this is what it's giving. You know, someone shoots another person, and that's Iran, and then saying, we didn't start this war. Or this. This is not a fire. This is just a special combustion operation. This is my type of humor. This is my type of humor. You know, the one with the dog sitting amongst the fire with the coffee going, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. That's one of my friend's actual favorite memes. And Trump saying, this isn't a war. This is just a special combustion operation. You know, that wasn't a slap. That was just me having a spasm amongst my hand that happened to caress your face. Like, no, that's a slap. That's a slap. Oh, that's not a duck. It just waddles and it just quacks and it moves slowly and loves to eat bread. But it's not a duck. That's a duck. You know, it's this. It's describing something, but then like, no, it's not actually that. It's not a war. It's just an unprovoked way of doing violence, surprisingly, in the middle of the night without being able to negotiate, that leads to, unfortunately, people dying. But it's not a war. It's like, okay. And then also, this is not the first misspoke that Mark Wayne Mullin had, because he also mentioned that we were about to declare war on Iraq, which it's Iran, not Iraq, but, you know. And a lot of MAGA is not sure where to go from here. Some are saying that we've already won this war that's not a war, but then there are some that are criticizing / saying suspicion is warranted. Of course, J.D. Vance is somehow claiming that Trump has been consistent all this time, despite private criticism. That's fun. And you also have MAGA podcasters that are saying that, you know, on his podcast Monday, Tucker Carlson said that this is Israel's war and this is not being waged on behalf of American national security objectives. I can't believe I agree with Tucker Carlson. Or Megyn Kelly said on her own radio show that this feels like clearly Israel's war and voiced doubts about the move. Former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and current Representative Thomas Massie balked, also saying it was not America first. I can't believe, but I apparently agree with Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire. So far we've heard enough, or so far we've heard that although we killed their whole Iranian regime, this was not regime change war. And although we obliterated their nuclear program, we had to do this because of their nuclear program. The messaging on this, to put it mildly, confused. So it's very spot on. The fact that we're going into this war over the idea of weapons of mass destruction, the existence of nuclear weapons, despite us blowing them up back last year in 2025, Which, again, I mentioned this earlier, even the idea that Iran has nuclear weapons, our own Director of National Intelligence did a whole press briefing to Congress, or not a whole press briefing, but a whole testimony to Congress saying, yeah, Iran is not building nuclear weapons. And they just ignored her and decided to nuke them anyway, because that's what Israel wants. So, anyway, I have to get going. I know I started late, and I know I'm not going to be on for very much longer, but I have to get going. I appreciate every single one of you. JE Main Event, hello! Tucker, help usher this in. Yeah. You agree with Tucker? I clipped it, LOL. Yeah, I mean, look, regardless of someone's political partisanship or something, I'm going to say if I agree with them, I'll just be honest about it. Now, does that make me somehow some person like Tucker Carlson? Absolutely not. Please, no, dear God. But if someone says something that's valid, then I'm going to point it out, you know? And it doesn't mean I agree with things based on morality, ideology, and principle, not just opportunism for political gain or somehow playing games. You know, it's just silly. Thank you for the great live. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for the stream, Jay Harrison. Aw, you're a real G-dog. I don't know what that means. You are a real G-dog? G-dog? What's a G-dog? Dog? I know what you're saying. Know what I'm saying. Okay. Anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. I have to get going. I'm still a little bit shaken up from having to figure out something before the stream, but nevertheless, I will be on tomorrow. I'm super excited for tomorrow's live stream as well. It means a gangster. It means like a good thing. Ooh, I'm a gangster. Can I be a gay gangster? Yo, what up? My name is Scott Johnson. I'm a gay gangster. Oh my God, can I be like the gayest of the gangsters? Okay, listen. I want to be the gayest gangster that ever is out there, okay? I want to just be the best one. So anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. I love all of you so much. Shout out to my amazing moderators. Gangster! Ah! I love that. Okay, I am going to make that a thing and be like, yo, what up? I'm a gangster. Anyway, Lisa, Akicha, Ellie, Kate, Jenny, Joanna Tech, Cantigan, Akicha, I love all of you so much. Thank you for modding. Thank you for keeping this space civil. And thank you to all in here. JE Main Events, you're awesome. Ryan saying, I see the gangster in you. Love that. Jay Harrison, like a slot and scratch. Who else was commenting some nice things? I appreciate all of you so much. Just remember, oh, look at my shirt. Just remember that you are beautiful. You are loved. You are valid. You are strong. And you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything or the algorithm ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much.